I just want to start right where Mr. Welch left off. And I don't know if Mr. Stern wants to answer this, because actually it was starting with a comment he made. He said, I think, and I don't want to misquote you, Mr. Stern, but you said this is where our work comes from. And I was a little bit confused, but maybe you just clarified that. This focuses on the rate of return, which I think is just profits to the shareholders. So I was a little bit confused by how this relates to your work. And again, either of you, I don't know.
Yeah. I think, look, what we're concerned about here is that the current process is that if the utility comes in underneath their rate of return, that in the next GRC, that will then adjust the numbers down because the base will be baked into the base.
Okay.
If what the bill proposes to do is through the 3 attrition years to do that, where the funds have already been approved, that has impacts on the utility's ability to finance what they have to finance and to finance it at an affordable cost. That not only hurts ratepayers, but it leads to a reduction in the infrastructure work that our members are employed to do, and that hurts us.
That's helpful. Thank you. I just wasn't clear on how that all fit into this conversation. So I want to touch briefly on what you were saying about the administrative law judge process, because I think that what you're hearing, not you, but what the world is hearing again and again from this committee is that we feel like the PUC is failing ratepayers. And recently, there was a very long administrative law process around the desire for PG&E to underground more than they could ever underground in the years that they intended to do so. The administrative law judge denied them the right, and the PUC overruled it. So the administrative law judge, after the lengthy process you described, didn't believe they could actually do that. But that didn't matter in the final determination by the PUC, and now the ratepayers are paying out because of that. So part of what you're hearing from us, I think, is that maybe there are processes at the PUC that should work, and they're not working the way ratepayers need them to.
And I don't disagree with that. There's issues with the way the GRC works that could be improved, and we have problems with it. We have a lot of problems with it. The fact of the matter, no matter the inconvenient truth in this room, is that the majority of the reasons for the rates that we have today come from this building and actions taken by this legislature, most presumably or most significantly inverse condemnation and spending ratepayer money like it's monopoly money on things like net metering. And that is just the fact. If you look at this, where rates have gone over the last 6 years, those are the things that have driven up rates.
And I think that it's my opinion, and that it is a lot of things. And I'm not saying that some of the programs that are baked into rates are not part of that. I know that that's something that this committee is focused on and wants to look at moving forward. And I think the chair has said that in hearings prior to this. But I do think that it is a very generous depiction of what is happening to say that the reason the rate of return is exceeding what is projected is because they found savings. I think that is one possible interpretation. I think the alternative interpretation that one could hold is that they are going in and forecasting excess to raise the rate of return to give more money to their shareholders. And so I think that what the author is doing here, which is asking the PUC to look at that, which to your point, I think that process, and I do think, again, she's had less than 24 hours with this. I think the process by which that happens will be a work in progress, is what I'm hearing from her, to make sure it matches the PUC, and I appreciate that. I think that's an important work in progress. But I actually think the thing in the amendments that I loved the best was directing the commission to adjust future authorized revenue requirements as appropriate based on the actual past records. I think telling the PUC they have to look at that and they have to do something different so the rate of return is not as excessive as that found in the audit is what needs to happen. Could they do it today? Perhaps. Are they doing it today? I don't believe so. And so I think us telling them to do it and being more prescriptive is what the PUC needs right now. And so I do want to commend the committee, and I actually want to take issue with what was said by the opposition about the expertise that goes into these bills, because I think this committee has incredible expertise. And we see bill after bill where they work that expertise into these bills and make them more workable. And I think this is an example of that. So I don't want anyone in this room to say that expertise is not happening through this legislative process, because our staff is incredible and they are public servants who work very hard to make sure that that is the case. And I think that this bill is an example of that. And so I am pleased to support this today, because I do think that, you know, as a fellow PG&E customer and representing 500,000 PG&E customers, my constituents are looking at their bills and they are looking at the press about PG&E's profits and bonuses, and they are saying, what is going on here? And I appreciate you offering to do an audit on the Assemblymember's apartment, but if I'm correct, Assemblymember, you're a renter, correct?
Yes.
And so you cannot do many of the things that would be required to do to drive down utility rates, and that is true of the vast majority of low-income Californians.
Well,
So I'm sorry, I didn't ask a question. And so I just think that what we need to do here is put them first, and I think that's what this bill does, and so I'm pleased to support it today.